To the man that thought she wasn't good enough for whatever reason, thank you. Should we ever meet? Drinks on me. To the man that thought she wasn't good enough for whatever reason, should we ever meet? Drinks on me.
I am turned on. I'm turned on. I am turned on.
Big news! Donald Trump just accidentally admitted that the FBI did not plant the documents at
Please mute yourself,
Mar-a-Lago
please.
after
Thank
all.
you.
He just posted on Truth Social saying, quote, the FBI.
Thank you, Reginald. Good evening, LaShawna and Thomas.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Good
you.
evening.
Okay. I was having some technical issues. I want to make sure. All right, it's 7 o'clock. You guys ready to get started?
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, the time now is 7 p.m. I'm calling this regular Board of Directors bi-weekly meeting to order. We'll have the roll call of officers, please.
LaShawna Spencer, President.
Present.
Thomas McKeithen, the second treasurer.
Present.
Brian Creighton, Senior Secretary, present.
Next item on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes for the 25th of May and the 8th of June. Those were sent out. I didn't have any edits. I would like to proceed with approval and not read the minutes for time's sake. Any objections to that?
No objections.
Okay. So meeting minutes are approved. Can I get a vote? Yes.
I second that. I second that the meeting minutes for the 25th of May and the 8th of June should be archived and uploaded to the portal. And then we can go ahead and vote.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the meeting minutes for the 25th of May and the 8th of June have been approved. I do believe they've already been uploaded. I'm not sure if they've been made accessible or not, but that will occur after this meeting. Next item on the agenda is the Community Association Manager's Report. Turn this portion over to Brenda Wakefield.
Thank you very much, everybody, for having me. And I will run through our report real quick. These are actions that have been completed and information that have been requested. So one of the things that we have been working on is the RFP for the fences. The RFP was completed and it was sent as directed out to Thomas Fence, Long Fence, Clinton Fence. And we also had the RMM proposal. I've been unable to get a response from Thomas Fence, Long Fence, or Clinton Fence after multiple outreach. But I did get a contact with Hercules Fence, which is a company up in the Columbia area that I've worked with before. So I told them the scope, I sent them the RFP, and I have a conference call meeting with them on tomorrow at 3:30. I think they want to ask some questions about the scope because it's a little bit unusual, instead of just go put in a fence. One of the things to think about, or an additional question I have, is the idea of total replacement of any of these fences. If there are no takers on the program to maintain them, perhaps, discussion of at least some sections being replaced. That was just something that came to mind. And then if outside of this contract that we've been trying to get, if the board would like to separately go ahead and make repairs at the entrance of the community to any fences there that need help, just for, the curb appeal, and focus on the other fencing that's necessary, as soon as these proposals are in hand. So I have on here the irrigation system. I see that that's on the agenda for later, I believe. So that's just been on hold. I had the email, LaShawna, from you about the records request, and I sent that over. I don't know, do you want me to run through all of these things, or do you have questions in response to the answers that I gave?
as far as the status of the records?
Yes, yes, the one,
Um,
the first that you sent over,
From my understanding, they are going to be uploaded by Ashley to a SharePoint drive and made available to the board. Is that not the case?
oh, no, that's the case. There was just, the other, oh yeah, we're still doing that. She was doing that. She's back from vacation. She was uploading to the SharePoint drive. I didn't know if you wanted to go through my information about the answer to the deeds and, that you sent out that list. So that's what I was asking about, if you wanted here on the meeting to go through that, or if those answers
No,
were.
your
Okay.
email will suffice. No.
Okay. Then a couple of other things that didn't go out in the packet, they've happened since then. I already mentioned the Hercules fence issue. I assume you got the Section 7 letters about the walkthrough. So I was talking to some of my colleagues, and there are times when an association attorney has participated in this type of walkthrough and it's turning over the common area. So that's something that the board might want to consider. You asked a couple of, I've put in the request to change the terms as you pointed out. I'm sorry, I didn't check to see that that had been done. I checked it yesterday. It hadn't been done yet, but I didn't have a chance to look into it today. I have been working to put, or yesterday, I did put all of the contracts that are current for now into the portal myself. So yeah, all the migration is happening. It's happening at someone else's pace, but I did go ahead and get the ones in that I knew of us having been signed together and that sort of thing. I did not see anything for trash. I looked in my DocuSign, I looked in the records, and I wasn't sure if a new one was actually signed or not. So if somebody has a copy of that and could send it over, I'll get it up there. But I didn't find one.
There is a new contract for trash.
I'm sorry, it was done in the February timeframe. I'll look too, and whatever I find, I'll make sure you have it.
Okay, good, because I think that's the only one of the recent contracts that's not there. When you look at it, if there is something that is missing, please let me know, because I think I got them all. But there was, with the grounds, all the activity that went on early on, if I missed a contract or something, please let me know and I'll find it and get it up there. But those are the ones that I identified.
It was only Amber's. It's only Amber's and outdoor creations. Amber's for trash, and then landscaping is outdoor creations. Those are the only two. In addition to the management contract with Century.
Okay, the management contract is under a different section.
Agreed.
So that's a different drop down. So I don't have the ability to do anything with that.
Understood. Understood.
Okay. And then one of the newest thing that's happened is I have received all of the documents associated with Section 9, the recorded site plans, the recorded supplemental declaration, a list of the lots and the addresses that go along with it. So that has been uploaded into the portal. And I don't have, and none of us have ability to upload governing documents. That's handled by our new accounts department. So I've taken these documents, and the process is I put them in the portal for her access. So it's not somewhere that you would be able to see it. And it's not something I can upload into governing documents section. So that's there for her. She's going to take it, or her department's going to take it and add the addresses and add that to the community. So then you'll have the 36 additional lots for your community. I understand they're not going to be built all that soon, but this was the paperwork required to get those lots established. There was one work order that came in that I wanted to touch base with you about. So somebody was saying that there's a root that had pushed up and caused a crack in the sidewalk. My response to them was, that's the sidewalks belong to the county and the homeowner is responsible for their trees, that they could reach out to the county to see if they'll assist with the sidewalk. But generally it's, the abutting owner is responsible for some of the maintenance of the sidewalk. So I wanted to alert you to that. And, if you would prefer someone to get a different answer, then, and I said, feel free to send over some pictures if you want. I didn't hear back yet. But I just wanted to let you know that that was an answer to someone, that, the sidewalks don't belong to the association. So, I don't think I have anything else on my report, so I'm open to answering any questions that you might have.
I don't
Brenda.
have any questions at this time.
I actually have a comment, just to touch base on the irrigation system, because it is on the agenda. We'll go ahead and discuss that, when we get to the agenda item. How about the actual walkthrough? Is that still gonna happen for section 7 on September the 28th?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe Theron Gore said he would go ahead and be attending that on behalf of the board of directors.
Okay, well, that is the walkthrough where they are legally turning over the infrastructure items. They need to make sure that everybody who lives in that section and the board know the maintenance responsibilities there. So, for anyone who hasn't seen the letter or is curious what we're talking about, that's what it is. I do plan to attend. So,
Okay.
I'm interested to see what, how this goes. I think it'll go smoothly. I'm just interested to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Thomas, you're on
I'm
mute.
sorry, there we go. Hey Brenda, good evening. Can you check with, maybe I missed it, but Strauss and Associate for the 21 audit. Have we gotten the audit done? I know we've paid for it, but is the audit done with Strauss?
I will check. We have a procedure here that the auditors, once the audit is complete, they send it straight to our corporate office because it's our, it's not us that review it here. It's Mr. Comp who signs off on it. So sometimes I don't know when they have come in, but I will check on that. I made a note. So it's a Strauss audit and I will check on that and get back to you.
And then there are a series of accounts that are close to that $500 threshold. They're like 465, 495 in that range. So those might need to go to the returning attorney because we're at that very close to that we're very close to that $500 threshold. So that's just for your awareness.
Okay, well, the next assessment is due on October 1st. So I'm sure, by October 20th, we'll have a better view of, which accounts are going to be paid and which aren't.
Agreed. Thank you.
Okay. If there are no more questions for Brenda at this time, we're going to move on in the agenda. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the irrigation system update. Brian Creighton.
Yes, thank you. So the irrigation system, as Brenda had mentioned earlier, it is on hold, but I believe it's going to be on hold for also a different reason besides just the getting the invoice for the 15 zone controller to Spinner. I know Brenda sent an email August the 19th stating or advising that Melinda from Lorenzi, Dodds, and Ganell had emailed her advising that that well belongs to the developer. And so I think there was just some, there's some confusion because when we did the initial walkthrough for the transition, that well was identified as being part of the HOA. And also we are maintaining the grounds that actually encompasses that well. And so I believe Lashana asked for proper documentation to confirm Melinda's claim that the well belongs to the developer. Have we received any type of information from the developer?
She's
Brenda?
not responded to that after asking her several times. I mean, she made that assertion when we were first speaking. And since then, I've been asking her. I did pull out the various site plans, you know, everything of the community. I went on Google Maps. I've taken all kinds of pictures. And, you know, my answer to everyone is that from the resources available, I do not have the needed skill to be able to understand those documents myself. She hasn't, you know, and especially since we do have all those plans and all that stuff has been turned over. I was surprised that she said that. And, you know, I don't know what the answer would be besides, you know, a title search or a surveyor or something, or, you know.
Right. So I actually, and I proposed this to the other board members. I think we need to hold off on moving forward with the irrigation system until further notice, until we actually have some documented proof that it either belongs to the HOA or it doesn't, and then go from there.
What proof? I mean, so Prana, I'm kind of with you. I am with you. You know, Melinda has made claims like this before, with things belong to the developer, and you know, the same issue came up around the additional lots. You know, they thought they had voting rights and they don't. So I'm with you. I think that we need the documentation. And if she's not responding to the community manager, you know, written or otherwise, then I think we need to provide, my recommendation, we provide that Brenda's asked for the documentation, and then we provide that note to the attorney and let the attorney send her a letter that says, you know, you've made these claims. The association has need for this system because it made investments in landscaping or whatever the reason is. We need to confirm, provide documentation that that this is in your space. And if it's not in your space, don't, you know, it belongs to the association. I think that we've made the requests. The requests have not been complied to. It's almost 30 days now. I just think we need to move forward around this one.
Okay.
I say send the matter to the attorney. Let MSN handle it, and go from there, because this is about documentation. This is about claim of ownership.
Right. So I mean, it's still, I mean, we're still gonna put it on hold.
Yeah, we're still gonna put it on hold. But what I'm saying is send the thing to
You're adding another layer to it, sending it to the attorney. Correct. Okay.
Agreed. I'm saying let's send it to the attorney. Let the attorney sort it. Let the attorney get the documentation, and be that as it may.
What cost is that gonna incur on us as far as sending it over to the attorney?
Probably an hour. Or we could handle it this way. We could ask Brenda to send Melinda another note. Another note that says, the board desires to move forward with this matter. Please provide documentation to, substantiate your claim that the developer owns the well. And give her a hard date when we want the documentation. I would go 15 September. And we'll take it up at our second board meeting in September. We can do it that way.
I'm okay with that way.
Okay.
I
So
don't see anything,
yeah, let's send it. That's
Wow.
so Brenda will send a
what do you think, LaShawna?
I agree with the latter. Let's have Brenda send another note. And see if Melinda responds and then go from there.
Yep. And we'll put it on the agenda for the 28th or the second meeting in September. Brenda's back.
Okay,
Excellent.
So the next agenda item is the FY 2022 Q4 spending controls, eliminating prepay of OC Outdoor Creations and Ambers. Thomas.
Yep. So for a member of the homeowners association, we are at I would say we're at a critical point in the year. We have $75,000 in operating cash, $94,000 in reserve cash. And so what we need to do is go into a mode of cash control, because we still have a substantial delinquency rate. Our delinquency rate is for a total delinquency rate for current homeowners is $53,888, of which 12,000 plus is from this year. And so so that we don't run out of cash, and so that we can manage, we need to put some controls in place so that we can continue to move forward and close the year. So my recommendation, find my note here. All right. And I put this in writing for the board, and Brian, whatever changes we agree to make, I'll rewrite it, and then that way you'll have it for the notes. So I'll just kind of walk through what I'm suggesting that we do. So right now, Outdoor Creations and Amber's is on a prepay. So for example, we pay to pick up our trash in advance. So September is already paid for, and we pay it in the month of August. And we do basically the same thing for Amber's, for Outdoor Creations. And so what the recommendation is the first action is to remove Amber's Disposal and Outdoor Creations from prepay, and that we will pay them in the month that it's due. So for example, the next trash bill is due in October. We will pay it in October rather than paying it in September. That will help us preserve almost $18,000 worth of cash between the two entities while we wait on additional payments from homeowners. Effective October 1st, 2020. October 1st, 2022, if our operating cash that's in the operating checking account goes below $50,000, recommendation is that we that invoices over 2K, that we split them into two payments, to again, to preserve cash and to help with cash flow. That effective September 1st, that we would suspend legal services payments, again, without board explicit approval. This is an area of the budget where there's overspending, not due to any mismanagement or anything like that. It's just that we had a number of legal issues that we had to address and get to in front of the attorney, and so we are over by $2,800 in that budget category. So we want to kind of control this area and make sure we all have eyes on this one. And the last item, if the delinquency rate in Q4 remains above $12,000, that's for the current year, for current homeowners. If the delinquency rate stays above $12,000 for the current quarter, we will suspend the monthly reserve contributions of $2,250 per month, and we will hold the cash. We won't move the money from the operating account to the reserve account until the end of the year, in a method to again to ensure that we are able to fulfill our obligation.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Of course.
Okay. The invoices, anything over 2,000 in 2 payments. Now, how would the schedule be of that? Would break it in half and pay
You
the
could break
2
it in half.
payments, but
break it in
then
half.
pay in 1 month and then the next month, or?
Mm-mm. And still pay them in the same month, but we would just split them into 2 payments.
Okay.
So the way I would do it is, I would do one at the beginning and then one at the end, maybe one the first week of the month, first to the 7th or first to the 10th or something like that, and then to pay the remainder around the 28th of the month. Does that make sense?
It does in previous payment methods, but in our accounts payable system that we have, that would involve, pulling an invoice out and then having to resubmit it for the second part of that payment. So that just seems a little complicated with it. I would have to figure out how that would work in our AP system the most efficiently. And then the delinquency rate for 2022 remains at 12K as of October 1st. Suspend reserve payments. Now, please know that if you suspend those payments, it's going to show on your balance sheet as a due to reserves.
Understood.
Okay, and then let's say October, it's 12K on October 1st, but on October 15th, it's down to 10K. Do you reverse that, or you're starting this fourth quarter stop on reserves on October 1st, no matter whether the delinquency rate changes or not?
No matter if the delinquency rate would change, we need to, my recommendation is that we suspend the reserve payments until December. And before we close the year end, we would make the appropriate contribution.
Well, then I think that, because I'm sorry, I didn't look today at the delinquency amount for this year, but as of October 1st, 150, or, right before October 1st, each account will get that last quarter payment applied to the account.
That is correct.
So unless they pay it prior to the 1st, everybody's going to show that. So I think you're looking at,
I'm looking at Q3. Yeah, I'm looking at, no, I see where you're going. I'm looking at Q3. I'm saying, all right, if our October 1st hits and we still have, the problems we're having in this year with delinquencies, we've got to stop the reserve payments. Does that make sense, Brenda?
I understand what you're saying, but the October 1st date doesn't make sense to me because
That's fine.
that's when the assessment is applied to the accounts.
Let's
And
change
it's
it
not technically late until the 15th of the
Well,
month.
So we'll
So,
change it to the 16th. That's fair.
okay, thank you.
So we would change that. So if the delinquency rate, as of October 16th is above 12K, we will suspend the reserve payments for, it'll be November and December. Because we would have already made the payment for October by that time. And I will rewrite this based on what we agree upon.
Okay, Thomas.
Yep.
Thank you for going through this with us. Couple of questions. For Outdoor Creations and Amber Disposal, those are both service-oriented vendors, correct? So they provide us a service and then we pay them, correct?
That is correct.
So how are we prepaying them before they provide us our service?
So the trash invoices due on the 1st, and so we are not late. Accounting pays them. So they bill. It works like this, Brian. We get the bill for, say, August. Excuse me. Let's say July. They bill us on the 25th of the month. They bill on the 25th of the month. Brenda's gonna keep me honest, and we pay it around the 1st. So we're always a month ahead.
So they bill us in June.
They bill us in June for July, and they bill us in July for August.
Okay, so that's Amber Disposal. How about Outdoor Creations?
It's basically around the same thing. We haven't gotten the bill for September as of yet.
So what happens if Outdoor Creations, and I'm just using Outdoor Creations.
That's fine. That's fine.
What happens if Outdoor Creations, they don't fulfill their portion of the cutting or the landscaping? Essentially, we've already provided them the money for that particular month.
Well, that's with any FFP. You have remedies. You can issue a notice to cure, and you can give them 10 days to cure whatever the deficiency that you've identified, and then you have legal remedies if they don't fulfill the obligation.
And so just give me a historical context. Was this how it was done prior to December 2020?
It's always been done this way. Yeah, it's always been done this way. If you go back and look at, even with the trash, if you go back and look at previous balance sheets, you will always see a prepaid line for trash and a few other of the expenditures, because we use accrual accounting. Yeah. So what we need to try to do is control it, because if our delinquency rate, for per quarter was not like at $12,000-$15,000, we talked about before, this would not be as much of a concern. But I will also say, in historical context, is where we are. We were kind of at the same point this time last year. We had $84,000 in delinquencies, and we had about $78,000 in the account. We are a little bit less than that now. We're at like 68 on the operating side, 68 on the operating side. So this is the preventative measure that I want to put in place.
I had another question. It's slipped my mind right now.
It's okay, man.
Well, while you're thinking of your question, Brian, I have a question for Brenda. So there's been an issue with overpayments to
That's what
Amber's.
Thank you.
That was
Oh,
last year.
that's what it was?
That was my
Okay.
question.
So there's been an issue with overpayments to Amber's. I think we're up to 3 times this has happened now. What preventive measures have been put in place on Century side to ensure that this isn't going to happen again?
Well, wait a minute,
Oh.
before Brenda's answers, let me kind of put that in some context. The prepayment, so everybody's clear of what happened. The prepayment to Amber's happened in December of 2021. And as when we closed the books, when we took over, one of the things we noticed is that Amber's had the trash was a large expense in December. So we paid $18,000, $18,152 in December of last year. So I don't want anyone to think that it's been a pattern of this. It happened once, and that was in 2021. And what happened was that Amber's ate that we used that credit, the $18,000 credit in January and February of this year. So I just want to put some
And it
context.
also happened again in April. So it's
No,
been more than once.
No, it did not happen. It did not happen in April.
I can answer that. So I think you know that in December, it was caused by the change in managers. So when I came in, I saw an unpaid bill. It concerned me because it was a utility, and I paid something that had just been paid because I thought it hadn't been paid. So that was an error there, but Thomas is right. We used that up. Then we changed our process a bit with regards to utility bills, and trash is considered a utility. So the association still had a month of credit, and a new procedure, the local accounts payable staff member approved a payment that shouldn't have been approved because she wasn't aware of the situation. It was a new policy. She was told, anything sitting there more than 2 days, pay it. So it was sitting there intentionally waiting, and because of that policy, it got paid. So we have changed that just by communicating what was going on. So it shouldn't ever happen again, but it was a change in procedure that didn't include proper communication on that particular invoice. So, that's exactly how that went down. It shouldn't happen again.
And that's the one where we had them to correct the journal entry, so that the journal entry would reflect when it was paid. So it wasn't an overpayment. We prepaid it.
Yes.
It was a prepay. So overpayment means that we would have, did what happened in 2018, in 2021, where we had completed the year of service and paid into next year. In this case, what happened was it went towards prepay. And so what we're suggesting here is that we dial it back. We no longer prepay to control our costs. So as I explained, we have already paid for September's set of services. All right, so the invoice came, it was paid, September's paid for. What I'm suggesting is we don't do that in September, October, and November. September, October, and November, December. It will help us with this. This is a cash management issue. This is not where someone's mismanaging the money. This gets down to cash management. This is all this is.
I'm on mute. I'm sorry. One more question. So outdoor creations, Amber disposal, these are all business accounts, correct?
Yeah, those are the largest ones.
Right, so largest. Are both of these on net 15 or net 30?
I'm going from memory, so don't hold me to it. I believe that both of these are net 30.
All right, so if they're net 30, that means that technically we have 30 days after the service has been provided to actually render payment.
That is correct. That is correct.
And you said earlier, it's pretty much a cash management, cash flow management issue, basically, right? So maybe to manage the cash flow a little better, a recommendation could be to really establish and really start paying these bills on a net 30 and not doing the prepays.
Agreed.
What's the monthly bill for outdoor creations? I believe that's the largest one we have.
11,245.
So it's $11,245. And this is my personal opinion on this from a homeowner and actually a business perspective. For somebody that does service, or for a company that does service, $11,000 is a really large sum of money, and I don't think it's in the association's best interest to go ahead and make that a prepay. I believe we need to reevaluate that and actually, once the service has been rendered, then we make the payment.
Well, yeah, so all of these are FFPs, firm fixed price contracts.
Right.
And so I agree. You should pay after, after you receive the invoice for August, you pay the August invoice in September. So it should always be that way. And I've always believed it. It should be that way. And so we're at a point in the year where we need to put I'm saying we need to put tighter controls in place. And so this is the recommendation to do that. And if it works, then we can continue to practice in 2023, excuse me.
Thank you.
So I will rewrite this to go based on what we've stated, and that is we're eliminating prepay for Ambers and outdoor creations, and we are doing net 15 or net 30, whichever one it is. So we're going to pay them in the month when the invoice is due, rather than if it comes in on the 25th, paying it on the 26th of the month. And then for the legal services payment, we'll suspend that without active or affirmative board approval. And then for the last piece is, if our cash drops below 50K, we will move to apportionment of invoices over $2,000, and based on the CAM's recommendation, we'll do half at the beginning and half at the end. And then the latter portion is, if our delinquency rate on 16 October is above 12K for the current year, we will suspend reserve payments for November and December at the beginning of the month, and we will make the payments at the end of the year.
May I ask for a clarification, please?
Yep.
So with the paying net 30, so let's use August. So August is due, based on the contract, August is due August 1st.
Right.
The invoice comes in and is paid on July 25th. You're suggesting instead the payment that's due on August 5th or August 1st not
Paid
be
on August-
paid until
August 1st,
August 31st?
August 1st. I would pay it in the month that it's due.
Okay, so you're not saying like leave a gap and not
No.
pay until it's almost late?
No. I'm
Oh,
saying pay
okay,
it in the-
okay.
No, I'm saying pay it in the month that it's due. And I'll
Okay.
make sure the words are really clear that we're saying pay it in the month that it's due, rather than if it comes in on the 15th of July, we turn it and we pay it on the 20th of July. What we're trying to do is to manage our cash and manage the books a little bit tighter, so that we can get to the end of the year.
Okay, I understand. Because I was thinking, well, if it's gonna be on the last day for
No.
outdoor creations every time, we should probably let them know so they don't think that you're just
No.
missing a payment every time. Okay, good.
No.
I understand now.
And I will rewrite this based on our discussion and make sure that the words are clear. And I'll try to provide I'll put in examples in there.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
One more point for clarification, Thomas. On the legal service payments without the board approval, do we have a standing retainer with legal services?
No, we pay as
On demand.
it's pay as you go. Yes, pay as you go. Mhm.
Okay, so you're saying to suspend the legal service payments without board approval? What does that look like?
So if we let me just use something as an example. If we need to go to the attorney to have a consultation with the attorney, we need to approve that in advance, is what I'm saying to us. We are over in that budget category by $2,800. So we're gonna have to find a way or where we're gonna pull it from. So you're gonna have to reduce somewhere else in order to fulfill that obligation, just making sure that we're all aware of what the obligation is.
I was under the impression that anything that goes to the attorney needed board approval. Is that not the case?
We send contracts to the attorney. We send contracts to the attorney. We just have done it by practice, just to send it, send contracts to the attorney or inquire with the attorney. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, so I think what I'm saying here is do it on the front end, make sure we understand that we are overspending. We've overspent in this category. It's not a bad thing. We're just at the point in the year where we have to be a bit more judicious around this. That we know that every time we go to the attorney, it's going to cost what it is. I think it's $395, $393, $400, whatever it is. We just know that this is what it is, and we know we've got a budget pressure here, and if we are all aligned that this is what we need to do for whatever reason it is, then that's what we need to do. But we need to do it on the front end rather than wait for the invoice to come and then pay it and then deal with it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to move on to the next agenda item?
So are we approving this? How we handling this? I will rewrite this based on the objections, but I mean based on the suggestions, and are we agreeing that this is approved?
Well, no,
I'm not prepared,
I'm not prepared to approve it. I'm sorry, without.
me either.
Let me rewrite it.
Yes, please rewrite it and resubmit it for approval.
Y'all making me work tonight. No problem. I will rewrite this as amended, and I will bring it back in when we meet in actually, let me see if I can rewrite this real quick while we meet, and then I'll bring it back. Would that be fair? Because we've got a September target in here.
I I'm not gonna be prepared to vote on that this evening because this is just getting presented during this meeting. And you talked through it, but that's still not enough for me. I need to sit with it for a minute. So
I'll
just
bring it
talking
back in
about it in
September.
this meeting
I'll
is,
bring it back in September. I'll bring it back in
okay,
September. So
thank you.
I'll remove the, okay.
Okay. So we're gonna move on to the next item on the agenda. This is version 2 of the budget presentation, Treasurer Thomas.
I'll just talk to the budget. In the interest of time, I'll talk through some of the highlight. It's on the portal for all to see. I'll kind of talk through what we need to do. And so, as I mentioned at our last board meeting 2 weeks ago, we presented version 2 of the budget, which would take our annual assessment fee to at $785 or per annum, and you can still pay that quarterly. The cause of this, the changes are for 2 factors. One, Maryland House Bill 107 requires that the board fund its annual reserves, excuse me, the repair and replacement reserves based on its reserve study. And as you're aware, the board commissioned a reserve reserve and replacement reserve study in April of 2022, and it recognized that we had to be over a 3-year period. At the end of 3 years, we need to annually contribute roughly $55,600 plus to our repair and replacement reserve annually. We've got 3 years to get to that level, and it will be an annual contribution. And so, as a result of that, we need to ensure that we start that contribution this year, excuse me, next year. And so, in version 2 of the budget, we proposing that we contribute $18,654 to the reserve for this year. The other challenge that we continue to have is around delinquencies. Delinquencies is one of our largest challenges. This in FY 2022, we assumed that 10 homeowners were not going to contribute to that, and obviously quarter over quarter, we see that we are running between $12,000 and $15,000 in delinquencies for the current quarter, for the quarter that's in play. And so, going into FY 2023, we need to ensure that we are prepared to manage that risk, and so we are proposing that we move from 10 units of delinquencies to 15. Those are the major changes within the budget. And so the budget documents are out there for you to review. What I will also say is the Maryland House Bill 107 gives the board the authority to make the appropriate adjustment to fees in regards to what governing documents call for. So there's some governing documents that say you can only increase your fees by 10%. Well, for associations to get to their reserve levels, that's not doable. So the board has the authority to do the necessary adjustments to ensure that we are adequately funded. So the board has put this budget draft out. Again, it is still a draft. Version 3 should be out in September, and hopefully that will be the final one. And we plan to vote. We have to provide the final budget proposal 30 days prior to the budget meeting, and so hopefully version 3 will be the final one that we will hopefully vote on in October, keeping with our commitments. What I will say is that if the delinquency rate stays where it is, for the current quarter, like I said, we're about $12,000 to $15,000 just for this quarter. If we stay where we are, and we're in the same position, then we're going to have to make a choice, and that choice will be: do we stay at 15 units for delinquency, or do we go to 20? And so I just want the homeowners to be aware that the delinquencies and the preserves are the problem, are the challenge in terms of what we have to confront for FY 2023. The budget documents are on the portal for your perusal, and we will move forward from there. And these are basic service expenses in the budget. There's nothing net new. This is all service based.
Okay, thank you. Brian, did you have any questions on that, or I didn't have any?
I have a comment or a
Okay.
recommendation. My recommendation is for sometime before the end of 2022, is for the board to come together and have a work session around the assessments and when they're due. We went the route of quarterly. It really is putting a strain on the budget. It's putting a strain on the cash flow. We may want to go back to annual assessments. That way you're receiving maybe 60 to 70% of the cash flow up front within the first 90 days of the new year. And then you're working on the remainder throughout the year. Just want to kind of put that out in there.
No, I'm with you, Brian. I think when we bring version, one of the things I asked the finance committee to do in concert, when we do version 3, that element would be in there. Do we want to go back to recommendation to the board? Do we want to go back to annual assessments, or do we want to stay the course? One of the reasons we delayed version 3, because technically we could say, okay, this is the final budget now. But one of the reasons why we delayed version 3 is for that specific reason, to kind of really look at the data. I think I said that 2 weeks ago, to look at the data and say, what is this what we really want to do? I think quarterly assessments does provide some relief to homeowners who may be on a fixed income due to retirement or for other circumstances. But to your point, if we had an annual assessment, we may or may not be in the same situation where we are today. So we've got to figure out what the happy path is. And Brenda, I just have a question to you, since we're talking about this. Are there associations, if you could you may not know off the top of your head. I know we do quarterly, right? We do quarterly here, but are there associations that you are aware of that may say, okay, we're going to do monthly, or we're going to do bi-monthly or semi-monthly? What's the standard, or what do you see most?
Most associations are monthly assessments. Then the next, quarterly are not unusual. I think those are the two biggest. Annual assessments are not that common anymore, just because of, considering the homeowners' cash flow within their own homes. And also, if you're looking at the cash flow for the association, and you consider, your monthly expenditures, because you want to live within your means, so you should theoretically be able to, take in a quarterly assessment and have that assessment be able to handle your quarterly expenses to a certain extent. So I think loading it all up in January could really be a hardship to the homeowners and lead to more people being delinquent. Because if they can't pay the large chunk, and they get behind and start getting letters, you're looking at more people being referred to the attorney, which immediately adds to, the legal fees and things. So I think that, if you want to have a bit of a softer touch with your homeowners and give them an opportunity to stay current on their assessments, quarterly is a much more kind way to approach it. Monthly, a lot of people do it, but there's a lot of scrambling around for collections for that. I really do like quarterly the best, as far as balancing, the income with the homeowners need to pay based on their schedules as well.
Yeah, Brian, I don't want to think that we're in a, I won't say we're in a bad spot. We're in a
Precarious.
precarious. We're in a precarious spot where we have to manage the risk. We have to manage it. And it's because of where we are in the year. And we need our homeowners to fulfill their obligations. There are some homeowners who are let's keep it 100. There are some homeowners who haven't paid for 3 quarters. There's some who haven't paid for 2 quarters. There's the largest delinquency right now is $4,100. That's the largest delinquency that we have. We have to do better so we're not sitting here this time next year saying the same set of issues. We have to fund our reserves. We have to pick up the trash. We have to keep the grounds in good repair. We can't have it both ways. We're not sitting on a ton of cash. This association runs on homeowner assessments. And when we did next year's budget, notwithstanding what they did in previous years, we did not include late fee income. We did not include late fee income because we want to stop the bad behavior. We need to stop the bad behavior. And we all need to fulfill our obligations and remitting our association dues. For so long, folks have complained, oh, the association isn't doing this, or the developer isn't doing this, and it needs to be in homeowner control. Well, now it's in homeowner control, and we have the same issues of people not fulfilling their obligations as it has been in previous years. The numbers don't change. Last year we had $84,000. Where we sit today in delinquencies, we're right where we were in December. So let's do better.
Well, I would like to bring attention, and without looking at the actual accounts, because of course we know we can't do that, but consider the fact that the first large batch of attorney referrals for this board, we're not talking about those 4,000s and that sort of thing. The board took a big effort in March of 2022 to refer a lot of accounts to the attorney. So once you refer that, they send a letter for 30 days for the person. So we're looking at April. Then if the person doesn't pay, they go through the court process of filing a lien. Now we're in May. The lien is filed. Somebody wants a payment plan. The payment plan is negotiated, or district court action. And then you're looking at, it takes a couple of weeks to serve the person. Then you have a couple of weeks to get it scheduled in the courts. So, and another batch went in May. So if you scroll through the attorney collection report, you'll see that they're taking all of these steps, but none of them happen quickly. And I don't think that you should consider your collection efforts to date being any type of failure, that you're not making progress, because you are, but it's a very slow process. So, since you just did send another group in May, June, they got the 30, their 30 days was up. mid-June, maybe a lien filed, then, as you're going on, it really hasn't been going that long. And then if it is a district court action, it may not have even made it to the court yet.
You're right.
So, just an observation.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is community vandalism. Brian.
Thank you, Madam President. So the board received a letter, or actually an email dated August 22nd from a homeowner off of Maytide, and also Ernest, the chairperson for safety and security, also sent an email or provided some communication to us about some vandalism that is taking place in the community. The vandalism is spray painting, spray painting fences, trees, community common areas such as the playground. I wanted to bring this to the attention of the board. And then I also wanted to get Brenda's assessment on what or how the board should respond, and what is in our legal realm to do about the vandalism that is happening. For right now, it looks like it's isolated in the Maytide area. I did notice that during the National Night Out, there was some writing and some graffiti work that's on the actual benches at the pavilion. So I just wanted to kind of discuss it and get some feedback.
Well, I think that one of the biggest thing that is going on right now is, we all want to take care of our young people and not stigmatize them with any type of legal action against them. But the courts have, and the law has come in that anyone under 10 years old can't be charged for anything at all. So any 10-year-old knows that nothing will happen to them. Under 13, it must be like a violent offense to allow them not to get really in trouble, but to allow them to even really be arrested and charged. So you're left with little recourse for these very young offenders who might be out there beyond trying to identify who their parents are and, taking action against their parents for having a nuisance child. I guess that would be a violation of the covenants as a nuisance. It's your child being a nuisance. We talked about lighting, but that was problematic because of the system, like at the pavilion. There's SMECO lights there and you cannot tap off of them, which is something that we spent a lot of time looking at these different security systems. Other solar lighting, that sort of thing, there were some lighting options and it just kind of didn't go anywhere because it didn't seem that would solve the problem. Or really, I'm not sure what happened to it once it got to the committee. So it might be, a good question to ask back to the Safety and Security Committee based on their research and stuff, what led them to stop pursuing that particular avenue, and what sort of funding would you want to dedicate to some sort of lighting service? School has started, so they're not going to have as much free time. It's going to get cold. They're not going to be out as much. So I don't know if, if it's just a little group of folks who are, causing mischief that'll die down. You know, that's really not a good answer. There's not a good answer to it, but I'd be interested to know what conversations go on within the safety committee.
Okay. What about rectifying the spray painting on the fences and within the HOA common areas? Whose responsibility is, well, let me break this down. Whose responsibility is for the fences, the homeowner fences? Is that HOA responsibility, or is that the homeowner's responsibility?
If someone spray paints a homeowner's fence,
Yes,
why would that be the HOA's responsibility?
I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Unfortunately for the person who gets spray painted, but I couldn't see any scenario where it would be, or why anyone would make that charge that the association should do something about it.
Okay.
Hey, Brian, has the patrol stopped? You know, we were on the crime watch list for additional patrols.
I'm
Has
gonna
that?
do with Ernest. I don't believe they've stopped. I believe if in Ernest, I don't know if he's on the line, but I will reach out to Ernest and confirm, because I believe he actually put in another order to increase
Did you get
the watch for his particular area for that.
did you get my note?
I did get
about
your note. I did get
call-
your note. I'm waiting.
talk to Bill?
I'm waiting for a response.
If Bill hasn't gotten back to you, I meet with him at the county level, on the board next Thursday. If he hasn't gotten back to you by Wednesday, he and I'll be together next Thursday, and I will remind him. So just send me a text.
Okay.
Let me know.
I think one of my recommendations would be to address the vandalism within the community, either weekly updates or even the newsletter, just so that way, you know, I don't know how the wording should be just yet, but we need to make sure that this doesn't happen or it stops, because it does tarnish the neighborhood and it looks unsightly.
Well, how specific would you, because a very specific notice in a newsletter, as opposed to just saying, hey, guys, make sure your kids aren't doing this. You know, if you're very specific to say in the area of Wyndon, you know, between these addresses, this occurred, and, you know, parents, you know, if, you know, try to get their attention by saying, this is where it happened. Was it your kid? You know, because it's not going to be somebody down at the other end of the community as likely to be coming over just to vandalize somebody's fence. I mean, maybe, but it's most likely somebody who's right there. So I don't know what parents would be willing to do, you know, to curb this behavior in their youngsters.
I would agree with that. Just put something in the weekly and just make it, you know, sometimes we tend to be broad. I think in this case, Brian, we might want to be specific. Hey, this is where it occurred. Just a reminder, and we can kind of spin it, let calm spin it.
Yeah, I think a message going out to the community about the specific area, also asking all homeowners, in addition to parents that have kids, to be aware. You know, we live in a community, we should act as a community. You know, I kind of keep an eye out on my neighbors' houses, they keep an eye out on my house. If you see something, say something. And also additionally, I would add that unfortunately, homeowners need to invest in some type of security. It's very easy nowadays to get, you know, a doorbell camera, etc. And you have to protect your property, unfortunately. So I think that also messaging, encouraging homeowners to do what they need to do to secure their property will also help as well. But unfortunately, as an HOA, with the vandalism happening to someone's home, there's not much recourse we can do other than, I believe Safety and Security is working on increasing the patrols and working with, our partners to have more patrols in the area, in addition to the homeowners looking out. That would be my recommendation.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Let comms handle it.
Okay,
Nicole work
so
her magic.
I will work with, I'll work with Nicole and ask her to come up with some wording. And she's agreeing, she's in the chat. Okay. So we'll work on that and we'll get that out. Next on the agenda is the conflict of interest policy. Thomas.
Shauna, let's move, in the interest of time, let's move those to our next one. And it's the same thing
Okay.
for the next one.
Okay.
So we're moving the conflict of interest and the electronic communication policy.
Yeah.
To
Yeah. In the interest of time. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you want to go through it, my friend.
Nope. Nope. You're good. You're good.
So we're skipping those two. The last one is board meeting dates for the remainder of 2022.
So I send a draft schedule, and it basically it helps all of us, putting it in writing, putting pins, dates so we can all get it, whatever. So, and what I will say is, I think one of these meetings should be, and I know, Deshauna, I know how you feel about it, but I think that we have to try to engage the homeowners a bit more. And I will suggest that we can figure out which one, be a face-to-face meeting. I mean, we've done virtual, they don't come, we need to try something different. And if it doesn't work, we don't have to do it again. So that would be my recommendation. So all I did was take the bi-weekly and codify it, put dates to it, and go from there. I think the only change. Go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, sir.
I think the only change is that the week of Thanksgiving, we wouldn't meet, and we would just meet in December. So we wouldn't meet on the 23rd, because that's right before Turkey Day, and as Brian wants to share some of his turkey with me, then we will meet in December, and be one meeting in December.
Well, can you name what those dates are?
Yep.
Well,
September.
I'm sorry, Thomas. You have us meeting November 30th.
Did I say the 30th? That's the week after Thanksgiving. I'm sorry.
Right. So you
Week
have
after Thanksgiving.
November 9th and November 30th.
Yeah.
So we're good in November. So
Yeah.
we meet twice in November.
Twice in November. So let me see if I can get. I'm doing this from memory. September 14th.
Correct.
September 28th would be the CAM meeting. October the 12th will be a normal board meeting. October the 29th. 26th would be the budget meeting. And so the budget will be done on the 28th of September. And then we'll do the budget on the 26th of September, and the 26th of October. That's a CAM meeting. November 9th is a regular board meeting. November 30th, the CAM would come, and then we can either do November 30th, the CAM will come, or the CAM will come in December. I think I'm preferring my recommendation will be the CAM come on December 14th and not November 30th. That would be close out the year as a team.
Now, I already have a budget meeting on October 26th.
Okay. So we can change the budget meeting if my colleagues would agree. We can change the budget meeting to November, just pushing it out. It's going to make it tight. Push the budget meeting to November 9th. Well, we could still, we could still do the budget on the 26th of October, because still want to kind of keep with that 60-day window. Brenda, I don't think you have to be here for the budget, but so if we could get a substitute for the 26th, and we can still do the budget meeting, we'll do it within the 30-day window on the 26th.
Okay.
And then we do the 9th. And the 30th, we would skip for the CAM, and the CAM will come on the 14th. So let me go and kind of do this again. September 14th will be a regular board meeting. September 28th will be the CAM and the budget briefing. It'll be a budget briefing to go through the proposed budget. October 9th will be the board meeting, regular board meeting. October
12th.
12th, I'm sorry, please forgive me. October 12th will be board meeting. I was playing tricks on me, I'm sorry. And October 26th will be the budget meeting. And Cam will get a substitute. November 9th will be a regular board meeting. November 30th will be a board meeting. And we could decide to take that one out if y'all want. And then December 14th will be our last meeting of the year.
So we're not meeting December the 7th.
Say it again.
We're not meeting December the 7th.
No.
So why don't we just take out the 30th, Brian, Lashana, and let's just meet once in December, once in November, and once in December.
You know, I don't like preemptively canceling meetings since I don't know what's gonna come up.
Ain't nothing
That
gonna come
makes
up.
me nervous.
You're gonna be eating turkey. Brian gonna be eating turkey and chicken and some ribs. I'm coming to Brian's house to get some ribs. Lashana gonna make us some pies, Brian. Lashana gonna make us some
I
pies.
mean, we
Don't
can
worry about it.
always cancel it if we need to,
Yeah,
once we get to that point. I mean, I
I'm
just,
with you, LaShawn. I need.
What do y'all want to do?
Keep it. We need to keep it in there, and then we can just cancel it if there's
Which
no-
one? We keeping the 30th? Cool. Sounds good.
We'll keep the 30th.
All right, that's cool. Cool. And then the 14th. So Brenda will come in December, and we would not see you in November.
So we are going to do this.
okay, I'm okay with that.
So do I need to repeat this again, or are we good? Brenda, you okay?
I've got it. Thank you. I appreciate you planning ahead like that.
No problem.
Very helpful.
So we're gonna move
Brian,
to
your thoughts?
I'm just moving things around in the calendar right now. I'm good.
Yeah, I know you had sent out a meeting series for every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just readjusted them.
I
Okay,
think there's only one that changes. Yeah.
Well, two.
Two.
The November 30th.
And the
and the-
December 14th, right?
December 14th change.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that, my friend.
so quick question, is Brenda on the invite for the ones that she's supposed to attend? I didn't look, so that's.
Good
I didn't-
question. I don't know. So let's see. Let's go back here to
I
September.
think that would help her remember which one she's supposed to attend.
So what I'll do is I will make that correction this evening. Once we finish the meeting, I don't want to hold up the meeting.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and put her on the schedule.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So is that everything on the schedule?
And we'll talk about public versus private. We'll talk about that later. We'll deal with it later. Deal with it later.
Huh?
I said we'll deal with it. We'll deal with a public. Which one will be a public meeting later? I mean, not
Oh,
public,
I didn't understand what you were
in-person-
saying.
An in-person meeting. I did say public, an in-person meeting. We can deal with that later.
Yes.
Yeah, that's gonna involve a discussion and a
We're
vote.
gonna have to come to Jesus meeting. Okay.
Well,
we'll discuss it at a later date.
We need to
Um,
look at the budget for that.
Say it again.
So we need to look at the budget because that's gonna require.
Yeah, there's a lot involved in
There's a
that,
lot about it.
so
It's a lot involved in it.
It's, so
We'll sort it.
we'll discuss it at our next meeting.
We'll sort it.
So last item on the agenda is, I'm sorry, do any of the directors, Thomas, Brian, do you have anything else before I move on to community engagement?
No, I just again, I just encourage our homeowners, if you have not, and if comms will please put this in the Brentwood Weekly. If you have not fulfilled your financial obligation, please help us help you. Please remit your assessment. We need to use some stronger words this time. Because we can't do this without resources. It's one of the things that keeps us all awake at night to look at this. And so you want the trash picked up, you want the grass cut, you want the grounds kept in good repair, you want the fences repaired, then you have to help us, help you, help all of us be successful. Permit your fees. If you need a payment plan, that option is still available. Call 410-721-7171 and ask for Ms. Brenda or community care. Ask for community care and get on the payment plan before it goes to the attorney. Because once it gets to the attorney, you will have to pay not only the association, the assessment, but you'll have to pay the legal costs. The association does not bear the legal costs. That cost goes right back to the homeowner. We file in court. If we put a lien, the homeowner, that gets charged back to the homeowner through the attorney. And we don't want to do that. So please. Thanks.
Brian, did you have anything?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open up for community engagement. The time now is 8:26. We are going to end at 8:45 or earlier. If there are no questions for the board or for, did Brenda leave?
No, she's still here. Madam
Oh,
President,
okay.
can I ask that the comments or the questions be limited to a time frame for each individual, please?
Yes, sir. So each individual question, we are going to give you, what do you suggest?
A minute.
1 minute?
1 minute. Let's go.
2 minutes. Let's go.
Oh, 2
2
minutes.
minutes.
Okay.
Okay. 2 minutes. I have my little timer here. So if you have a question for the board or for the CAM, please raise your electronic hand. Please keep your line muted until you're called on so we can hear everyone's question and the response. We're going to start with Nicole.
Good evening, everyone. I had two, well, one is a statement, one is a question. I'll start with the statement. I heard everything. I was paying attention, so I have already made note that we need to add something in the Brentwood Weekly. So LaShawna, I will connect with you on that and get the wording. My question, and this is something that may have been tabled or maybe even discussed in the last meeting. I unfortunately was unable to attend, but are we still moving forward with a community survey of any sort?
It's with me. Blame me. Blame me. It's been my schedule. I have not been able to kind of focus on it. But I promise I got a 3-day weekend. And it's gonna be on the list of things to do.
Okay, I was gonna say no worries. I just wanted to make sure that
we
we
need to
were
do
holding
it.
up our end of the bargain.
No, we need to do it. Now will the data get factored into this year's budget? Maybe, maybe not. But we do need to do it.
All right. Well, that's all I had. I thank you all.
Thank you. Under 2 minutes. Good. I do not see any more hands. If you have a question for the board or for the CAM, now is the time to raise your electronic hand. Going once. Going twice.
They must be happy with their architectural process. We fixed it.
All right, I don't see any more hands.
right.
I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting. The time now is 8:29 PM. Thank you for your participation. Have a good evening.
Ooh,
Right.
thanks.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.